Hi, and welcome to the L Bars Blog Talk Radio Show. I'm your Sexpert, JP Dunbar, and today we're going to be having up for discussion the hot topic, oral sex, taboo or taboo. Now, oral sex is documented as something disdainful or taboo, especially in lesser Western countries, but in the United States, where we live, it's considered something revered and very pleasurable that's actually becoming an act that's very, very popular. Today we're going to be joined by two guest panelists, very open-minded folks. They're lots of fun and have nothing to hide. James, who's a 20 to 29-year-old grad student, and he's also in the field of professional entertainment. And also Dorothy, what you see is what you get, Brandon, who's a professional in the field of education. I really can't wait to get these folks on the phone. You guys are in store for a fun-filled roller coaster ride. So as we open up, I want to start by first discussing some of the myths behind oral sex.
James? There's a myth around it that, hey, oral sex is really not sex. And because we had, the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky case going on in the back, if everybody can remember when Bill was saying, I did not have sex with that woman, it was because he was concentrating on the oral part of the favors that he was receiving, and he was claiming that he did not have any intimacy with her. So what do you think? Do you think that you're really having sex when you have oral sex, or you're not having sex?
I don't personally feel that oral sex is intimate sex. I see that more as foreplay. I mean, now, granted, I know it's going to vary. It's really more of a personal opinion for everybody, and more, where your morals and where your standpoints are. But I don't personally view it as sex. I mean, I view it more as foreplay, and certainly it's a different level than holding hands or kissing. But I mean, I would say it's a gradual step towards intimacy.
Oh, I see. Well, we also have joining us now on the line Dorothy. What you see is what you get, Brandon. And Dorothy, I don't know if you were able to hear the very first part of our call, but we were discussing whether or not oral pleasure is really considered sex. So what's your view on this?
Well, I agree with the previous caller.
That's Jane? Okay.
Jane. Okay, I agree that it's what to me it's considered foreplay. I don't really think that it's because for me it's about more than that, because I prefer the actual act. To me, the actual act is more intimate than the oral part.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, let me give you a little information out there, guys. This is a high heated subject. Where the L Bar is located, we're based out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Actually, sodomy was considered constitutional back on July 6th, 2000, in a special case where a young man went out to a bar with a young lady, and they had consensual oral sex, okay? There were some arguments about whether or not she was raped. He said it was only oral sex, but in the state of Louisiana, sodomy carries a 5-year imprisonment term and a $2,000 fine. And so in 2000, it was considered constitutional, but back in 2001, there was a ruling that was overturned that finds that the law was unconstitutional. And so the case is being returned to the Louisiana Supreme Court. Now, so when you're out there enjoying these foreplay acts, thinking about these lawmakers out who see it actually as an act. I'm pointing my finger saying, hey, make sure you guys don't get caught, because, man, while you're enjoying, they're going to be enjoying locking you up, taking you to prison for a little while. If you want to research in your own state whether or not sodomy laws apply, you can visit sodomylaws.org. That's SODOMY laws, LAWS.org, and see how it varies from country to country and state to state. Some really interesting stuff out there. Now, moving on, a lot of people seem to think that they can't get STDs from having oral sex, and so I want to touch on that because it's another one of these myths that people seem to think is correct. Hey, I can't get a yeast infection in my mouth. No, I can't get HIV. No, I can't pass herpes or anything else. And, yes, I want to go ahead and say you can. It is very possible to receive an STD from giving oral pleasure. So I want you to keep that in the back of the mind. Now, there's one option you can do to protect yourself and have more safe oral sex and where it's real pleasurable, and that is using what's called a dental dam. It's just a piece of quote-unquote like plastic. Sometimes they sell them flavored, and in fact, the L Bar does have some on our site, www.thelbar.com, where you can go and purchase flavored dental dams. And the way you use this thing is that if it's a flavored one, it's going to be flavored only on one side, and you just lay that side upward towards you above the area that you're going to be giving pleasure on. And if you don't have a dental dam, you can use a condom. You can just cut the condom up, cut it straight across, open it up, and lay it flat. And the same goes for a piece of saran wrap. So you can use that on any. Yeah.
I got a question for you. So a condom will work? Is that going to be a successful preventative of STDs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
A condom will work, and unless you're, allergic to latex, and you may not want to use a condom, or maybe you'll use a different type of condom that's latex-free. But yes, you can absolutely use a condom, and you can absolutely use plastic. But it's recommended dental dam or condom. Okay, that's the high recommended that the L Bar stands by. So dental dam is perfect for use, and you just lay it over the area, including the anus area if you're going to be giving pleasure there, and then just go on and give your favors from there. It's really a perfect little tool to use to just make sure you stay safe. I mean, you've only got one life, folks. Enjoy what you do, but be safe. Now, I want to kind of just talk a little bit about what do you think, James? What do you think out there is the consensus about people? Guys. We want to talk about guys. What is the biggest complaint? What is the biggest complaint from men about women in oral sex?
I would say it has to be narrowed down to two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of them is they're just not giving it up. Would be the first one. I mean, first one is they're not doing it, or the second one is that they're not, I guess, into it. I mean, maybe they're too worried that they're not doing it right, or that they're. I'm not going to say I've been like.
You guys can sense that. You can sense when.
Oh,
when
definitely,
she's not
absolutely.
Into it.
Oh, definitely,
really?
Definitely. I mean,
that's really funny because
very...
I had a client this morning. Contact me, and she was sharing that she had some issues with giving pleasure, and then during her last experience, her partner said to her, "Hey, I know you don't really care to do this, but you're really getting better." And she actually got offended, and so we had a dialogue about why is she feeling offended, and it really stems back to what the feeling that women are really not liberated when it comes to sex, not just oral sex entirely, the whole shebang.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess from my point of view, I mean, and I've always told all my partners this is like. I mean, unless you're chomping down like it's a hot dog, you can't really mess it up. I mean, it's. I don't know. I mean, like I'm serious. Like I've tried to tell all my different partners that it's like they're like, would you like this? I mean, are you? Do you like it? There to be like some pressure, with the tongue.
Right. Well,
do you like?
That's the thing I was
you know what I mean?
I hear a lot of different. I heard a lot of different women say, hey, well, there's variations in pressure. Should I be adding different pressure? Should I be making my mouth really slippery? How should I be moving my hand? There's so many factors, and then I just can't stand the taste of semen, and just so on and so forth. And so what I try to help people realize is that most of it on the woman's side is that it's generally mostly mental. Would you agree, Dorothy? You think it's mostly mental?
I was just going to say that most women, it's all mental, and I think there's a huge stigma that's attached to swallowing. I think it's the really big thing, not necessarily the act itself, but the swallowing part is a really big stigma that's attached to it. Of course, nobody wants to admit to doing that if they do.
Okay.
So nobody wants to admit to that. So it's really, to me, I think right now it's just now getting to the point where people are really comfortable with even it.
Well, I can tell you what's really funny, because I've had clients that are not in our country that, specifically spoke to me and say, hey, so is it really true that people over there in the United States really have oral sex? And I'm like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Of course we do, And I said, well, why is it, is it that in your country they, oh, absolutely not, So in practices, it's becoming more and more common now